let's have a good show.
Indeed.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is where you're at. Welcome to Collider Dailies. I'm John Aljets, and I'm joined once again by...
Maggie, love it.
How you doing, Maggie?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday?
I am. You know what? I'm actually doing pretty all right. I've been getting more sleep as of
Very
late.
important.
I've managed to get my sleep schedule to a pretty solid place, so I'm pretty stoked about how things are going. Still not, getting a human amount of sleep, let's say, but at least enough that I'm up, I'm perky, I'm cheery this morning. Yeah.
Which
At
is
least
so
as perky
important.
and as cheery as I could possibly be. As Fink Sinatra points out, that's wild. That's a great comment about that. Anyways, today on the show we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? All right, The Boys is getting a Mexico-based spin-off. That is going to be our first story of the day. I don't know why I opened with that. I'm having a moment this morning. We're also going
So
to
maybe
talk about
go to bed with less sleep.
we're going to talk about Nikolaj Coster-Waldau. I always screw up pronouncing his name, so I hope that you can get that right there, Maggie.
Mhm.
Is once again going to be on the small screen. And of course, we have Fallout images to talk about, which we're going to be trying something new. We're going to try to actually show the images that we talk about on the show today. So hopefully we don't have any technical issues with that today. But all that being said, let's go into our first story of the day, which is that The Boys is getting a Mexico-based spinoff. This is news that we found out just yesterday. The Boys universe is expanding with a spinoff titled The Boys Mexico, which is pretty on the nose.
Short, sweet, to the point.
According to Deadline, it is going to be executive produced by Gael, García, Bernal, and Diego Luna. We don't know if they're going to actually have anything, like if they're going to be in the show. It wouldn't surprise me if we see them in cameo roles, kind of like we've seen Seth Rogen
Mhm.
appear on the main show a few times. But, we don't really know a ton outside of that. We just know that it's coming. But Maggie, how do you feel about this? You
I am
excited?
extremely excited. So I love The Boys. I've talked about it on here before. I'm a big fan of The Boys. I like that they're turning into a cinematic universe. I saw some people who were like, "Oh no, they're catching the Marvel fatigue," but I kind of think that to some degree, the fact that we have like Gen V and we have The Boys Mexico is also kind of part of the bit, because the entirety of The Boys has kind of been like a mockery of everything that Disney is doing with Marvel. I mean, even down to how they do their like marketing stuff, and like they always like respond to whatever Disney's recently in the headlines with some hilariously biting, sometimes cruel like critique of it. And so I think the fact that we're getting a lot more of this like boy cinematic universe just continues to play into like the vibes of what the show has been giving us. And I think it also is good because like we're obviously reaching a point where like the boys Mayan series will eventually end. I think we're starting to kind of reach a natural conclusion point. I obviously don't know how soon or how far out we are from the end, but just based off of where things were at the last season, it feels like we're creeping there. And so I'm really excited.
I will say that it's kind of hard to judge where we're at as far as the main series goes, because at this point it has veered so wildly away
So
from the
far.
comics that they're not like just not anywhere
Yeah.
near like so it's really hard to tell, like, okay, are we like a season or two out from the final climax of that? We just don't
Yeah.
know. It's a completely different beast at this point.
Just like narratively speaking, I feel like we are 2 seasons out from the end. It
That's what I would
depends on,
guess.
yeah, it depends on where this next season goes, because there's definitely I could see the next season being the end depending on how quickly or how slowly they follow through with some of the plot points that they set up. But I'm also really excited because I love Diego and Gael and the stuff that they've produced together. So I'm excited whether they're in it or not. I think that's really exciting, and I think tapping into a different audience is really exciting as well. And for like fun stuff and not like the typical stuff that we see set in Mexico. So.
Yeah, I will say I think that it would I feel like it would be really nice to see a Mexico-based piece like this and like maybe get the opportunity to see some parts of Mexico that maybe like people don't always get to see in media. I think that it could be really fun, and I think with those two producing it, I think that's probably what we'll get. Honestly, I will say I would be very surprised if they are not in it to some degree, whether it be a cameo or something.
Fingers crossed. I love them both very much and would love to see them in that universe because I think that would be really fun. So I'm hoping they're in it, but I'm happy if they're just executive producing it as well.
It's true. Either way, I am excited for it. Again, this is completely uncharted territory as far as what we could be seeing with a plot. I think it being called The Boys Mexico, as opposed to a completely different show title like Gen V was, I think we might find ourselves a little bit closer to the main series in regards to like the general idea of what's going on.
Yeah, admittedly though, Gen V was originally called The Boys University.
True. It could just be could be a temporary
Boys
title.
Varsity. I think the two University and Varsity were the two early names for it, so this might just be the working title for right now.
That's true. I guess I didn't think about it. It could be a working title. So, but speculation is fun regardless of your reason. Really good.
I love The Boys,
and at this point that's all we can really do is speculate.
Exactly.
So just is what it is. Speaking of things that we should speculate on, we are getting a new show from Maggie, could you say his name?
Nikolaj Coster-Waldau.
Okay, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau. I will do my best to remember that.
You can just say Nikolaj.
This is one of those names that I have heard people say a bunch of times. I have looked it up myself multiple times, but I always struggle with it. That is on me. That is not that's just entirely a me problem. But anyways, he is going to be making his way back to television because he is going to be on a new show. It seems like he is working with Happy Valley's James Norton on a piece called Kings and Conquerors, which is going to be a period drama. Production is going to kick off next year, so we don't have a ton on that one. But we do know that the series is going to take us back to the 11th century and follow the complicated and oftentimes volatile relationship between Harold of Wessex and William of Normandy. So,
yeah, I'm excited.
That's potentially really cool. We could see some like really awesome stuff around that time period. I believe like that was like the Norman invasion. Yeah. So like the Battle of Hastings and all that sort of stuff. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A period of time that I don't feel like we see we see too often.
No, there's been a few shows, a few movies, but yeah, it's not something that is covered as frequently as I would like to see as somebody who likes that period of history quite a bit. I also love Nikolaj and James very much. James Norton, of course. While yes, Happy Valley is what he was most recently in, I will forever know him from Grantchester on PBS, MPT, it's British series. Miss him very much on that show. And of course, Nikolaj. I mean, obviously Jamie Lannister is what he's best known for, but he was on a network television series called New Amsterdam, which I loved very much. And that was where I knew him from first before he landed Game of Thrones. So I do like that he's gone back to television. I think that he's a very good television actor.
I will say that my only experience with New Amsterdam is just from clips on TikTok.
Oh.
Because that seems to be one of those shows that gets clipped a lot.
Yeah, it was. What's so funny is it was one season in like 2006, 2007. It was part of what kind of got taken down with the writer strike of that era. It was a great show. I loved it immensely.
Well, but yes, so Nikolaj is going to be back on the small screen. So if you appreciated him in New Amsterdam or in, of course, Game of Thrones, which I feel like is where everyone knows him from, then be sure to check that out. No word on when that is going to be expected. It's, as I said, if production is starting next year, it's going to be a while, but still a pretty good time. Speaking of a pretty good time, that's a terrible segue. I feel like at this point my segues are becoming a meme. I mean, you even made fun of me and my
from the stage
on
of
my
Fan
segues
Expo,
at
San
Fan
Francisco.
Expo. Which, by the way, go watch that episode that we posted on Monday from Fan Expo, because Maggie and Arzu did a fantastic job on the creator stage there. But anyways, let's move on to our final topic of the day. We got some images from the Fallout series, which is just called Fallout. And we're going to do our best to try to show some of them to you here so that we can like actually talk about them. So let's kind of take a look here. I'm also running the show, so if you see me looking over, it's because all of my stuff's on this other monitor here. But anyways, let's get over to our first image, which is of Miss Ella Purnell hanging out in a vault suit. Looks like she is coming out of a vault. This looks like something straight out of the game. Like this is a moment that all of us who have played this game have experienced, that moment where you first walk out of the vault and you're kind of blinded by the light. That looks exactly like what we have going on here. And that vault tech suit is like almost uncomfortably spot on. I will say that the vault tech suits never looked like something that I would actually want to wear.
Yeah.
Very, very uncomfortable, and they look like they might be itchy. Our second image here, we have a Brotherhood of Steel paladin hanging out with, I'm assuming, another Brotherhood of Steel individual. And yet again, this looks like something straight out of the game. This is you've got your Brotherhood of Steel paladin, looks exactly spot on. The power armor just looks great. And that gun, I've used that gun before. I've fired that gun before. That is a gun that I have shot and used many times. This looks fantastic. As a Fallout fan, I am loving this to pieces. I think this looks spectacular.
Yeah, it does look really good. I really like the comment that we have from High Ninja 2 talking about like how wild it is that we might actually get a good Fallout series. And I like that they asked, has the video adaptation curse lifted? And I feel like maybe. I think The Last of Us maybe broke it.
I will say that I'm taking us back to our face cams for this one. I will say that I feel like like The Last of Us definitely helped in the TV space, but I think that it goes beyond that. Like, because I feel like since maybe it was Detective Pikachu or maybe Sonic. I can't remember which one came first. Was it Detective Pikachu that came first?
Detective Pikachu came first, because I think people compared the horrible teeth of Sonic to Detective Pikachu not looking like a terrifying
Because
chomper.
to me, I think that Detective Pikachu was the first like genuinely really good video game adaptation, and then from there it just started like we just got banger after banger after banger after banger, because Sonic was quite good. The Last of Us was pretty good. We just got some fantastic stuff after that, and I'm really hoping that Fallout kind of continues that trend, especially with something like Fallout that could be, could be a big one. Our next image here, we have a sheriff who is very much a ghoul, and I gotta say, we aren't gonna show the like key image that we have of our ghoul sheriff. You'll have to go over to collider.com to take a look at that. But the ghoul makeup, I think, looks great. The skin is all gross, exactly like you would expect. The missing nose is just weird looking. A very mutated, very messed up looking individual, which is fantastic. That's what you want from a ghoul. Really, my main comment on this show is that it seems to be capturing exactly what I want to see from a Fallout adaptation. It looks like Fallout. I believe the show is supposed to be set after Fallout 4, so it's going to be kind of avoiding all of the potential canon stuff that comes from that game's multiple endings. But anyways, speaking of Fallout 4, let's talk about this Pridwin looking airship that we have here, which is very much not the Pridwin as we've been told. It is another ship that is called I forget, it's like the Castlewin or something like that. It's from the same poem that the name Pridwin is from, so there is very much like a connection there. But it is just another Brotherhood of Steel airship, and you've got vertibirds flying around. What looks like you've got some Brotherhood of Steel, maybe trainees hanging out. It seems like this show, at least from the images, seems to be putting a lot of emphasis on the Brotherhood of Steel, which I know has left some... The Brotherhood of Steel, especially when it comes to the Fallout 4 version, back to the face cam here, the Fallout 4 interpretation of the Brotherhood of Steel had left some people a wee bit uncomfortable with some of the let's just say fascist undertones of the group. But I have a feeling that if they're going to be a emphasis in this show, they're going to steer more into like the Fallout 3 side of the Brotherhood, but you never really know. We have one last image here, which is, I feel like, the image that everyone is talking about. It is the shot of the multiple Brotherhood of Steel paladins walking through some smoke, just looking like absolute badasses. I don't really have a lot to say about this image other than the fact that it's probably the coolest image that we've gotten out of the whole thing. It is just so, again, it looks great. Like, it looks... like I want this show now because it just looks so good. But you know, we have to wait. It is going to be premiering on Prime Video on April 12th, 2024. So I guess we don't have that long to wait. But it's just I've been monopolizing the talking space here just because I am a big Fallout fan and I am super stoked for this. Maggie, you are not a Fallout fan.
That's why, like, keep talking, John.
But as someone who is not a Fallout fan, I am curious to hear, seeing these images, do these images make you intrigued by Fallout? Does it make you want to watch it?
I think these images definitely continue to kind of like tease my interest for this. I was already going to watch it because I do like watching video game adaptations, even if I haven't seen played the video game, just because it's a fun way to get in on the conversation and have feelings about it. Kind of with like The Last of Us was the same vibe for me. I also really love Elle and I really love Walter, so I'm watching for both of them. I think. And the production quality looks really good, and I tend to like what the studio has done previously, so it seems like it's going to be a good time. So I'm definitely going to be tuned in, and I look forward to the trailer because I think that's what will like finally like solidify interest for people like myself, because images you can make look really good for the money shot, but you know, the trailer will tell just how good it is. And true. I mean, it looks like the production quality is pretty high, so
that is the thing, is that, and for me, the big sticking point I feel like is the power armor that the Brotherhood of Steel are wearing. If that looks weird in motion, I think that is going to kind of break it a little bit for me. Especially because, again, the images are kind of making me think that the Brotherhood is going to be a major part of this show. So, you know, you gotta get the power armor right. But you know, either way, I am excited to see this. As you could tell, I'm pretty giddy. These images, when I pulled them up when I was putting the show together, I was just stoked. I was like, hell yeah. Like when we were talking yesterday about what topics, I came to the table with Fallout. I was like, yeah, we're gonna talk about Fallout. There's no
you knew.
We aren't missing that. Like that is of course gonna be going up. It's such a good time to be somebody who is a fan of video game adaptations, and I really hope that this continues the trend. If Amazon does Fallout justice, we may get a good God of War show, says Hi Ninja 2. Hi Ninja. I think a God of War show would be pretty awesome. Although that being said, the original God of War, the story was pretty, like, it was a good story, but it was pretty straightforward. There wasn't a lot to it.
I mean, I think that's in the works. I think they have a God of War in the works.
Yeah,
early stages.
I think that a God of War series, at the very least, like the first season would have to be probably like the 2 PSP games or at least the Chains of Olympus, the first one of the PSP games was a prequel to God of War, and then the first God of War, and then maybe you do Ghost of Sparta and God of War 2 as a season 2, and then God of War 3 is pretty, and then we get into the Norse stuff later. I don't know. It could be a whole thing, but I do think
You
that
could do
that
it
would
as an anthology series.
that could be. You could definitely do that. Maybe jump around like Kratos's history and tell different stories and different encounters with gods that all pretty much end the same way. Kratos is not a very friendly individual to other gods, but it could be a lot of fun. But anyways, that's all that we have for today. Couple of little like housekeeping stuff. It's still No Shave November. It's No Shave November until Friday. So I'm going to continue being scraggly and kind of gross looking, let's be honest. But on Friday, I will be shaving it off. And then after the show, I will be making my donation to the American Cancer Society. You should be making your donation to the American Cancer Society at a link that I'm going to drop into the chat at some point here. Give me a second to pull it up. You would think at a certain point that I would be more prepared to do this, considering that I do it literally every single show that I am on.
I'm not judging you, but my eyes are.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? You know what, Maggie? I'm tired of your crap. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm very, very happy that you are back from Fan Expo and that we are once again here on the show together. As much as pre-recorded episodes are nice because it allows us to kind of catch up on sleep. There's nothing quite like doing it live with you, Maggie. But anyways, yes, tune in on Friday to watch me shave all of this off. I will be keeping a mustache just because I'm not going completely facial hairless. I also have my own like personal weird rules when it comes to
I'm aware.
Which maybe I'll talk about on stream.
I'm aware of the lore.
there's deep John lore. Everyone watching this episode now is gonna think that I have like a weird mole or something. No. But anyways,
no.
Tune in tomorrow where it will be Perry and myself. We will be talking about all manner of movie news. So be sure to tune in for that and check that out. But until then, guys and gals, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Let's roll that outro.